We're proving today that Monday is still the new Saturday, or at least the new Friday. People want to save money, but they're going to have a harder time doing that today with food prices going up around the park. Join us as we take a complete tour, every land and every attraction. This is our State of Disneyland report. This is Fresh Baked. My goodness, what are we in for today, guys? Look at the size of this queue to meet Goofy. The back of the Goofy queue is meeting the back of the Pluto queue out here in Town Square. I don't know when I've ever seen this, at least not recently. What are we in for today? I think I need to get down there, stat, and check out what's happening inside Disneyland today. Let's get a vibe check down Main Street. Let's take that ceremonial walk down these steps. And I will say, first off, before we even get out into Town Square and Main Street, the front entrance and even the Esplanade was quite busy this morning, busier than I usually find it at this time of day. So there's still a fair amount of hype to be here on this day, on this Monday morning. It is 11:18 as I record this. We're gonna take this walk down Main Street just to get an idea of what the crowds look like, but we are gonna come back because I do want to talk a little bit more about the Main Street Opera House. But this is just about what I had expected to find, having been in the Esplanade, at the main entrance, at Town Square. Hi guys. It's pretty hype right here. Main Street is feeling pretty lively. It doesn't hurt to have the Straw Hatters out here performing either. I absolutely love this band. This might be my favorite show that they do on Main Street, although there is the Dapper Dans. You can never forget those guys. Hi guys, and welcome back to our State of Disneyland report, a bi-monthly report we do, well, twice a month. I'm your host, David, and we're about to take you on a journey, the best hour plus that you're gonna spend watching Disneyland, watching videos about Disneyland, informative, gives you the vibe that's happening right now. What is the park like today? We're gonna go through the entire park. We're gonna go to every land and every attraction. We're gonna talk about what's new and newsworthy, what's happening, at each attraction as we go by there, or what's happening in the larger picture. We're gonna be looking at queues and helping you do a little park science, figuring out how busy things are and if the queues are real or not, if the times are real. We're gonna help you understand that. Maybe get something to eat, maybe get on some rides, we'll see. This is our State of Disneyland report. And this is Main Street. And look at that, when you see the omnibus having to part the sea, as it were, that's how you know it's a busy-ish, at least, situation here. People are ready to be here. I don't know why they're parked here on the curb. I see a lot of people sitting on the curb. There's just a cavalcade, but I don't even think that's what is that for, I wonder? Maybe we'll answer that question in just a minute. Let's get back up, hi guys. Let's get back up to the top of Town Square and take a look at the reservation counter because it's going to inform us what we should expect today and going forward in the rest of July and August. We'll get started as usual with the single day ticket counter, which should be no shock whatsoever, completely wide open. Every single day is open. We are at a 180 price point. That's tier 4 for pricing. But yeah, the calendar is wide open and it's the way we would expect it, the way we find it for the past ever, with very rare exception. So we'll get right into the Inspire Key, which, we talked about this 2 weeks ago. The calendar was wide open. You could walk in today with a magic key and get a reservation. That is still the case today, although tomorrow, the 22nd, does have a DCA start only. But otherwise, it is wide open in July and wide open in August. But again, in that conversation we had 2 weeks ago, we suggested not to get too excited because we saw something almost exactly like this last year this time, that the calendar was wide open. This is largely due to 2 reasons. The price point is higher. At 180 and up is usually a signal for people to stay away. But more importantly, Believe keys are locked out right now. Imagine and Enchant keys are blocked out. Believe are able to reserve. I said that 2 weeks ago, and it's probably still the case today for July. But while Enchant is completely booked or blocked out in July, they are eligible for almost all of August. Only Saturdays and a couple Sundays are blocked out for Enchant keys and Magic keys, which means they can make a reservation for every other day of the month, and the calendar is still wide open. completely. Nothing's booked. Is Disney changing course? They want people to be in the park to enjoy the 70th and to enjoy the new show here at the Main Street Opera House. I would say that that's probably a very true statement. I just feel like perhaps maybe we've gotten to the point where they might be letting in, making more reservations available for Magic Keys. If that's the case, then we should find a pretty healthy crowd out there today at the 180 price point even. We're gonna see. We've been down Main Street. It looks pretty busy out there, but obviously from our last couple of visits here, Main Street and Town Square have been a completely different situation than the rest of the park. Let's go find out. As promised, before we get into the heart of the park, we're gonna stop here at the Main Street Opera House to talk about A Magical Life with Walt Disney. As you have been surely made aware, this was virtual queue starting on Thursday when the attraction opened. They kind of ebbed off of it on Friday, and by Sunday, they had taken it completely off. There is no virtual queue here. It is now a standby only attraction. You can just walk in. There's shows every 17 minutes. Let's just take a quick walk in there and show you what it looks like as of, 11:31 this afternoon. And by the way, thank goodness that this is the case, because thank you. When it was virtual queue, there was times when it was difficult to see the exhibit that they're doing out here, and this is a beautiful, wonderful exhibit that they've set up here. If you're a fan of concept art, which I am, because there is so much of it in here. There's copious amounts of concept art, everything you can imagine, stuff that we've never seen before. One of the things that I had observed and enjoyed a lot was the site plans. These are draftings of the entire park that they were doing from the beginning. It starts right here at the beginning when it was going to be, at the Burbank Studios. They're calling it Evolution of a Dream, which I think is wonderful, because that's exactly what this concept art is doing. What they're doing here is, evolving, showing you the evolution of how the park was when it was going to be at the Burbank Studios. Each one is sequentially the next iteration until you get to well, it's not quite the final product, but this was the draft that they were preparing to send to the bank for funding. Anyway, this whole situation here is wonderful. And then they've also updated the back room here, the ante room before you get into the show, where they used to have the model of the Capitol building, which I'm sure they'll restore here at some point in the future. But now they've got props and stuff from the evolution of Disneyland as well. Lots of, there you go, there's Jose. I did manage to, make my way through this entire show here a few days ago, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. It is quite wonderful. This is one of my favorites. They've got Pirates of the Caribbean guys down there. They got the pig down there. It's quite wonderful. These shows are every 17 minutes, as I mentioned. The sign out front says 2 shows. They're doing the Walt Disney show and the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. That is not the case while we're in our sort of premiere phase, I suppose. I'm not sure how long it's going to be this way, but it's 100% all Walt Disney shows. And then sometime in the future, they'll rotate. And the schedule on the app will tell you if the next show coming up is a Walt Disney show or if it's a Lincoln show, which I think I can't wait for that to happen, because I want there to be 2 different shows happening here so badly. I would be fine if they did it now, today. But I understand why they're doing that, because they want everybody who's coming now, getting prepared for the hype of all this, to have every possibility of seeing the Walt show. I get that they want them to do that, but I don't think that they should waste any time at all, because that theater is improved the more variety you give it there, or at least a little bit more variety. I think it would be great. It's going to make people want to see Lincoln, I think, whereas maybe they didn't in the past. So that's the current state of A Magical Life with Walt Disney here at the Main Street Opera House. Hype is real. It's a great show. I loved it. I was not in the least bit bothered by whatever shortcomings the animatronic might have had. For me, it's not about the how he looks. I just don't care in that sense. And I'm not saying that because I think it looks great. It looks great enough for me. I'm just happy that it exists, that we have the show here, that it's a thing that we can do, and that there is some love and respect being paid to Walt Disney, whether or not the likeness is to everyone's satisfaction. Doesn't matter to me one bit. And with that, we will begin our lap around the Disneyland Resort, well, around Disneyland, starting here at the hub, which now that we're here and it's now 12:14, I feel like the energy's gone down a little bit. It's not quite as hectic as we make our way. That's what I was mentioning before. We're going to leave that behind a little bit, I think, back there on Main Street and Town Square, which is just so hype right now. But this looks pretty normal as we make our way around the hub and in front of the castle. Things seem to be pretty standard. There goes the Disneyland band. Guys, they're getting ready to do an amazing show here, which we won't be able to catch because it's going to take a little while for that to happen. But the band's going to play. The characters come out, Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, all those guys, and they march down Main Street. It's some of the most fun you'll ever have at Disneyland if you care to stop and enjoy, as opposed to rushing to the next attraction. There's lots to do, lots to enjoy. As a fan of Disneyland, there's more to this place, considerably more, so much more than just going from ride to ride. This is why I always say don't be in a hurry. But we're also here to help you if you want to be in a hurry. We'll help you out there. But do take a minute if you can to catch that show. It's at like 11, or no, it's 12:16 now as that show begins. We'll take our show into Adventureland, where the Tiki Room is entertaining guests once more. Thank goodness, huzzah for that. I just had some lunch, which we're going to show you a little later. But it has left me on a sweet note. So I just right quick placed it over here at Tropical Hideaway for a new float. There's a new flavor, a peach flavor, limited time only. I'm not exactly sure how limited, but I'm going to get one before it's too late. Let's see, hopefully it won't take too long. I mobile ordered it so we can bypass this very, very short line. It won't take any time at all if you go stand by here. That's maybe 10 minutes, if that. But we'll go mobile order pickup. And that'll be the peach flavored Dole Whip. Normally it's pineapple flavored, but you can here at Tropical Hideaway, as opposed to over there at the entrance to Adventureland at the Tiki Room. You can order different flavors, pineapple, mango, strawberry, and or peach. You can also get a swirl if you want. You can mix those together, but I'm just going to get straight peach today. This is for the 70th, I assume. It's not, you have to go in and order, you have to choose the flavor. It doesn't show you peach at the front, just FYI. But this is something new that they just launched the other day, and it's my understanding it should be here for a little while at least. It's limited. They'll probably just limit it during the 70th. Now, full disclosure, I'm an absolute nut for pineapple Dole Whip. I actually prefer the Dole Whip float. I thought about doing that with this, but I wasn't sure how well peach flavored Dole Whip would go with what I would assume to be pineapple juice. So we're just getting the peach. That's amazing. Wow. There's just something about Dole Whip soft serve to begin with. All the flavors are mostly good, although, as I mentioned, I'll take pineapple every day. You can keep all the flavors if you want. I mean, they're still good, but I'm fine with pineapple. But this is damn good. I do love peach as a flavor. Now, full disclosure, one of the other reasons why I chose to eat here is because a park-wide price increase has gone around for just about everything you can get. Not every single thing, but a lot of the good stuff has been increased. For example, this Dole Whip yesterday or last week would have been $6.49, which, by the way, already seems kind of high. It is now $7.29. That is an 80% increase, and as I look at my little spreadsheet, which I might get to show you later, that is a 12% increase. They've raised the price by 12%. And that, by the way, is how you should be analyzing, reviewing a price increase, is by how much more are they adding to the price, as opposed to if it's less than $1 or 80 cents or whatever in this case. like that doesn't seem like a lot, but a 12% increase is quite a lot. Actually, that's a huge jump. Normally they don't jump that drastically. I tend to prefer to compare those price increases to what is generally perceived to be the normal cost of living increase that we see on a yearly basis, and that's 5%. Prices historically would increase 5% year over year. This is double that and more, actually. We'll talk about that some more as we make our way around the park, perhaps. Maybe when I'm going to show you the lunch that we got earlier today. But for now, we got to get into some park science. For now, we got to get back in there into Adventureland and see what's happening at the Jungle Cruise and Indiana Jones, and find out if the park is busy or not, no matter what we saw back there on Main Street and Town Square. And here comes Adventureland. It's happening. It is happening. Oh my gosh, I gotta wiggle my way through here. My goodness, okay. Pretty happening. Although Jungle Cruise seems to be, standard. It says 30 minutes on the sign, but I would doubt that highly, considering there's nobody in that back right space back there. They're on the left side only. And if I were to sneak my way through here and look at the bottom, I would see an empty bottom queue also. This is a delight. Nothing down here, nothing above us, and a posted 30-minute wait time. Hey guys, how are you? Hi. You're more than likely going to be experiencing something around 15 minutes on this, 20 minutes tops, but more likely 15. I will take that as a start for sure if you're looking for a discount. Actually, we're looking right here at Indiana Jones. It's posted 45 minutes, but you'll notice there's a certain lack of just energy here. There's not a lot happening up front. I'm going to bet that we've got a light queue in the back there. Mind that a posted 45-minute wait at Indiana Jones at 12:37 p.m. is something to look into. That is a go situation almost automatically without even having look at the back of the queue. But we're going to do that anyway. I'm liking this so far.
Well, there's one right by the
Although the back of the queue is right here, that suggests a full queue. Okay, so it is full back here, but it is kind of like what we saw 2 weeks ago. It's moving briskly, and if you recall also 2 weeks ago that we saw almost a very exact same situation. Look there's hardly anybody up there right now on the bridge, although it's probably people not paying attention perhaps, but nobody in Lightning Lane, not a single guest in Lightning Lane right now, and this queue is about ready to get dumped. We could stand here for maybe 5 minutes and I bet you we see something similar to what we saw last week when we came back here and saw this queue almost completely emptied when we came back here after seeing it full. Yeah, I mean, I got half a mind to come back here. We'll go check Pirates. Maybe, the rest of New Orleans Square come back here in like 10 or 15 minutes and see what this looks like. Or maybe not, because since we've been back here, it's actually grown. It's not shrinking, it's growing. There's still no Lightning Lane, but look at standby, man. That 45 minutes is pure standby. I wonder if it's still set. Wow, how far does this go? It's going out here, and it's almost all the way to Jungle Cruise, and they still have it at 45 minutes, which is probably why people are flocking here, because that's a pretty low wait time for Indiana Jones. But again, we'll come back here 10, 15 minutes to see what this looks like. But that's kind of surprising. That's the opposite of what I was expecting when I went back there. Isn't that wild? Disneyland's a crazy place. Pirates is next, where we're going to continue our analysis of the post-Lightning Lane removal, which has now been a couple weeks, I guess, right? A couple weeks. I do spy a queue up there on the bridge, which is usually a sign that things are a little bit busy. Posted 35. Oh my, yeah, look at this. Boy, there's a bit of a group out here. Oh no, has the day finally come? Has the day finally arrived? Okay, first of all, the queue is out here a little bit in wild space. They need to get to work on that. But here's something that I have not seen. This could be a sign that this is in fact a very busy day. This is something I have not seen since they took Pirates off Lightning Lane. And that's a queue jumping the street and heading, oh my goodness gracious, they did it. How about that? You know, I'm almost tempted though. I want to see how quickly this goes. I want to measure this. So if we, okay, they're going about halfway down the total length that they can go. So this is not as bad as it can get, but it's still something that we haven't seen in a little while. I'm gonna find the back of the queue. I very, very much want to know how long this takes. So we'll head back down. And I think this is the back right here. I think so. Yeah, these guys are just sort of hitting the back of the queue. And the queue is actually, man, it is kind of dense right now. Let's get this started. A reminder for those folks who may have missed it in our construction update earlier this week, Fresh Baked, we have an app. There's a Fresh Baked app out there that you can download to help you participate in our updates of the park. This version of the app is going to be focused mostly on construction and updates from the park. We're going to be posting photos, sharing a timeline of how things develop, but you too can join in that. If you're ever interested in joining the street team, you've heard us talk about that before, where you can share the photos that you get in the park, photos of construction updates that you want to make us aware or the Fresh Baked community. You can do that with the Fresh Baked app. You guys can participate and join in that community as well as other things, posting your food or anything else that you might observe in the park that you want to share with everybody. Go to we have a new website, freshbakedpresents.com. It's a web-based app, so you have to download from that site, freshbakedpresents.com. From there you can download the app, just log in and share. And it's free. It's free for anybody who wants it to be free. And there's also within that website, the freshbakedpresents.com, a link to we have a new shop, a new merch shop, new merchandise. Everything is going to be there. Well, the shirts we had before, plus some new stuff. We hope you guys find that enjoyable for you. Get some Fresh Baked merch. You've been asking us for it, and we have delivered. So go to freshbakedpresents.com, log in, create an account, and join the community of Fresh Baked. Thanks, guys. We'll come back in a few minutes to check in on the status of that. In the meantime, we'll keep making our way through New Orleans Square. We'll pass through Tiana's Palace at 12:53 just to get an idea of what the queues look like in here, which doesn't seem to be too bad. We're still in a lunch rush, but they are working both sides.
Which one is better?
Back of the queue right here at the split. So you're looking at maybe 10 minutes on each side probably. So that's very, very manageable. Love to see that. Love to see both sides working there. That means you're going to cut your wait time in half if you come in here, because obviously if they send everything to the right or to the left, which usually is to the right, they send everything to the right, that's, you know, twice as long as it would have been. Meanwhile, next door, Haunted Mansion looks, well, this looks light. Okay, I'm trying to reconcile what's happening here. There's a bunch of guests out here, very busy in the streets right now, right? But this looks really light. It's posted at 35 right there. But if we were to just sort of gently make our way into the queue here, I would actually, don't even turn, oh my gosh. I would go straight. This is the back of the queue right here. How are they calling this 35 minutes is a complete and utter mystery. And there's no lightning lane at all. This will take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, no, 15 to get to the door. That is very, very fascinating to see the sort of dichotomous relationship between Pirates and Haunted Mansion right now. Pirates is way beyond what we've been seeing, considerably so, twice as long, the queue. Meanwhile, Haunted Mansion is half as long as what we would expect normally at this point. I would expect a 35-minute queue, but that's not it. That's not 35. That's, like I said, maybe 15 minutes. We're going to check that queue as well. I'm just going to stay here in New Orleans Square and just do science all day, guys. But we're going to check on this queue in a few minutes, and then we'll go check in on what's happening at the Pirates. 7 minutes later, I'm watching the queue. 7 minutes later, and things are starting to back up a little bit here at the Haunted Mansion. Some lightning lane guests showed up, so the back of the queue started to stretch out here towards the threshold, and now they've just rerouted it. They're doing a short little turn here, but that'll probably eventually grow into sending it around the corner and then possibly into Leota's garden. Just watch them ship an entire room, stretching room full of guests from the lightning lane queue. Not a single standby guest went in that batch. There we go, at 1:06, 10 minutes later, I just watched that back of the queue get into the mansion. That's with a heavy flow of lightning lane mixing in there. A bunch of lightning lanes have shown up, and now look at what's happened, what that's done to the back of the queue. Now they are in fact going around the corner, not yet going into Leota's garden, but it could be in short order. If they keep getting more Lightning Lane, they will need to send those guests out there into Leota's garden. And now it has been 15 minutes since we left the back of the queue at Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm gonna go back to it. I have a feeling though, I have a very sneaking feeling that they're already in the house. That's my guess. I say that because it's still, look how swift that queue is moving. It's like a solid river of guests just flowing through the queue. I mean, 15 minutes though is still probably not enough time to get all the way through all these sections, but we'll see if we can't find that back of the queue in here somewhere. Yeah, I don't see them. Oh man, they are gone. I actually just spent the last almost 10 minutes I'm checking the entire queue. They are gone. They were inside that building in 15 minutes. Impressive. For good measure, we'll come back out here to the front and see that they have actually cleared this entire extended queue out here. This has been roped off now, so they are just sending them up the bridge and back down again. That's it. And that will give us one last opportunity to walk in front of Haunted Mansion again to see if that queue continued to grow. It was growing because Lightning Lane was showing up. They don't have that same problem here at Pirates of the Caribbean anymore, so they can just ship every single one. It's so great. Man, I really do miss the days of just having pure standby, like post-COVID. Right after that, there was no queue that I was afraid of ever getting into. No matter where I saw the back of it, everything moved like butter. This scene is significantly more dense than when we found it, and they have bumped it up to 40 minutes. Standby is still, yeah, they are setting, they're not in the garden yet. I can get through here. Yeah, see, look at this. This is, it's a lot of guests in the streets. They're just not in the queues. But that's typical for Disney. Hey guys, you see that often. Let me see if I can't frogger my way through here. But they are sending them now into Leota's garden, but still not into the greenhouse. They're going to make a U-turn around when they leave the garden. They'll come back this direction. So this queue has gotten considerably more packed since we left it, and that was probably 10 or 15 minutes ago. Disneyland queues are like English weather. If you're a fan of golf, you watched the British Open, which just happened this over the weekend. Way to go, Scotty Scheffler. Something that they often say during the British Open: if you don't like the weather in England, just wait a minute. Just wait a half an hour and you'll find something else that you might like. That's the queues here at Disneyland sometimes, especially on a not packed day. They can, they're very elastic. They can grow and shrink a great amount in a short amount of time. And that's the case for many queues. And that'll bring us to Bayou Country. Ooh, look at that. There we go. I like to see that. It's not hot today, which is probably why this is happening, but the queue is not out here in the garden. It's still posted at 55 minutes, which kind of surprises me. We will not be measuring this queue today because that'll take 55 minutes to do, whereas Haunted Mansion and Pirates is just 10. But I mean, that's still a healthy sized queue for standby. Boy, Tiana's is just really popping, especially compared to the rest of the park. This is great. Let's see. Okay, so it's posted at 55, and this is not looking, they're not moving very much. Good steady stream of Lightning Lane guests going in right there. Wow. This is the goest that I've seen Tiana in quite some time. Saying that because they are not using extended 1 or extended 2. They have ropes up for 1. They don't have ropes up for 2. Hi guys. This is a great sign. If you're standby right now, you're loving this. You're getting in this queue. That is not a 55-minute queue. There's the back of the queue right there, and they're going to go right upstairs instead of having to go through all this or having to go through all of that. And as you remember, we just saw there's no guests in the garden. So I'm thinking let's see, I'm going to call that 7, 10, 15, maybe 35, 40 minutes is my guess for this queue. As Tiana's Bayou Adventure goes, what you're seeing here, in spite of the fact that it looks like they're really parked and not going very far, this is still as good a situation as I've seen in quite some time. It helps that it's overcast today. Although it's not cold, it's still in this, I would say high 70s right now. Let's see. It is 75 right now, but toastier than that 75. It's actually a little bit muggy, but that's as easy a queue as you'll find these days, especially in the summer, for Tiana's right here. I mean, that right there is just, that's it. That's everything. Nothing there. Interestingly, though, comparatively speaking, Winnie the Pooh, 100 Acre Wood, it's popping. The queue is out the threshold. Look at that. Way to go, Winnie the Pooh. Although they're not using, the bonus section down here. That has to be really busy for them to get into here, but that's a pretty full queue for Winnie the Pooh goes. And that's still just 10 minutes. From the threshold right there to the vehicle is about 10 minutes. We'll head to Galaxy's Edge next, but before we do, on our way, I mentioned earlier that we got some lunch today earlier, so we're going to show you that real quick, and so that I can begin a conversation about, well, how much that lunch cost. Lunch today courtesy of Refreshment Corner, which is one of the key places that you can go if you want to find some easy, quick, comfort food, hot dogs, etc. And also quite a bit of history there. That thing has been open since the park opened in 1955, serving basically the same fare this whole time. I have opted for the all-beef hot dog basket. When they say all-beef hot dog basket, what they mean is a hot dog with some chips. That's the basket. Or you can get cuties, you can get oranges if you want, but that's it. It's not, you don't even get a basket. It's just laying here on the foil wrapper that it came in, but it is what it is. That is the all-beef hot dog, and that is how I dressed it. I am a mustard guy, although I think ketchup is okay. I don't mind that on a hot dog, but I prefer it with just mustard and with a little bit of sweet relish. Let's try out that all-beef hot dog from Refreshment Corner. The keys here are just going to be basically, is it hot and is it stale or not stale? Those are the keys. What you don't want is a stale bun. You want it to be hot, and you want to have a little bit of snap in that hot dog. We did it. Review is complete. It is difficult to mess up a basic hot dog. You just have to get the dog right, and as I mentioned, make sure the bun is fresh. And then on that, as I showed earlier, thumbs up. They accomplished this is a fine hot dog. It's really, really good. I'm enjoying it. As mentioned, it does come with Lay's potato chips. And again, I don't know how you mess this up. No, that's the Lay's potato chip, all right. Let's get crazy. Put some of those chips on my dog because I am 11 years old again. Awesome. Now, in my ongoing quest to eat everything at Disneyland, one thing that I have never had before is the jalapeno cheese-filled pretzel. I've had, obviously, a Mickey pretzel. I've just never had one filled with jalapeno cheese. So that's what I have opted for here. It's a different, it's not salted. It looks like it's maybe like a Parmesan or something that's been melted on top of there, or some kind of cheese. Let's break that open. This now, when it comes to pretzels, what I'm looking for is, again, not to be stale, for it to be warm and soft and doughy. I had a little bit of difficulty separating that. I fear this might be a little bit stale. Yeah, I'm not crazy about that. There's the cheese on there, right? The cheese, I think, is maybe already a little bit too cold. It doesn't taste too bad. The cheese does. And I like the jalapeno note. I was really interested in that because I've been enjoying jalapeno more these days. But I think that my main problem here is the pretzel just isn't soft enough yet. And that's what happens sometimes when you try to get creative with pretzels. There's nothing wrong with just a good old-fashioned soft pretzel, that's got a lot of salt on it, and it's just perfect. It's just fine, just the way it is. Yeah. Bread's a little stale. Altogether, though, enjoyable meal from Refreshment Corner. Definitely get the hot dog. You won't be disappointed. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5, if only because it's just a hot dog. It's not like it's like the greatest thing in the world. Giving this pretzel, maybe half, 2.5 out of 5. It's okay. Cheers, Fresh Bake.
That's how that's gonna take.
Modestly busy day, it seems, here at Rise of the Resistance. They're in Section 3. Section 4 is wide open. They're even letting guests pass through there, which means they're not expecting a lot of guests. Or they're not expecting to use that anytime soon. But that's still a pretty full queue for Rise of the Resistance these days. They don't look to be moving all that well either, to be honest. But the posted wait time still shows a modest 50 minutes, which is likely due to the fact that there's nobody in Lightning Lane. Everybody's just chilling there. Nothing happening back here. No queue here whatsoever. 2 weeks ago, this was 100% full. It was incredible. Couldn't figure it out. Couldn't understand it. Every single inch of this queue space was full of guests when we came by here. So even though the back of the queue is considerably deeper, back in there in Section 3 today, as opposed to where it was 2 weeks ago, it is a shorter wait at 50 minutes. And I would even say, if I recall correctly, my math, when you're in Section 3, is you're looking at something closer to maybe 35 or 40 minutes in that queue for Rise of the Resistance. That's a go. And I will go ahead and report that I got a little too excited when I saw some cast up here for a minute. Since we saw those cast here doing whatever it is that they're doing, there was Chewbacca and Rey and stuff. We have not seen anybody, not once, since we've come through, anytime we've come through here. I don't know, because they're not on the schedule, so you don't know if they're going to be there or not, but they are not there today, and I have not seen any here for quite a while. So we're back to waiting for Disney to put more entertainment in Galaxy's Edge proper, as opposed to just inside the rides. So let's talk about that hot dog. If I had bought that hot dog last week, it would have been $8.99. Today it was $9.79, another 80-cent increase. Less meaningful than the 80-cent increase that we saw for the Dole Whip. That is a 9.75% increase, so that is still that's a solid raise there for a hot dog and some chips. I will also note that the Plaza Inn has seen probably the biggest dollar increase that I've seen so far as I scoured this. We got a small selection of things that we've been paying attention to. The Plaza Inn chicken was going at $19.99 and is now going for $21.99. That's a $2 increase, 10%. Again, that's double the typical cost of living increase. And there are a few of those that we're tracking. Let's say a turkey leg is up $1.50, 11%. What's the biggest increase we've seen? 12, 16%. What is up 6? Oh God, that makes sense. Milk. Milk is up 16%. It went from $2.99 to $3.50. From $3 to $3.50. That's a 16% increase. I'm not sure what my point is in showing this, other than to say that's a lot, and be aware, prices go up. I mean, we know what's happening. It's happening all across the country. It's happening everywhere. This is not a Disneyland issue. This is a continued spike in the cost of everything. Everything everywhere is going up, and going up a lot, and there doesn't seem to be any end in sight. And even as far as that goes, I'm not even sure what my point is, other than just observe it. There's nothing, I don't know what we're supposed to do about it. I honestly don't. I don't know what we're supposed to do about it, or what we can. I wish there was. How do you stop drinking milk? How do you vote with your wallet and stop drinking milk? I have no idea. I don't know how to stop eating, period, at Disneyland. That's a difficult thing. You know what? We got to get back. Let's get back to work. We're here in Galaxy's Edge. I made it all the way to Docking Bay 7. Let's go check out the tip board. All right. Alice in Wonderland, 20 minutes, standard. Maybe a little light even. Astro Orbiter, 30 minutes. That's a little bit on the high side, I would think. Autopia, 35 minutes. That's high. Return time in an hour and a half. Big Thunder, 40. I don't mind that so much. That's pretty normal. 2 hours-ish for return time. Buzz Lightyear, 30 minutes, standard. Half an hour return time. Casey Jr.'s 10. Still running 2 trains. Look for refurbs starting next week, I think, on Casey Jr. Gadgets, 30 minutes, standard. Dumbo, 25, standard. Finding Nemo 30 standard. Haunted Mansion 40 standard. I look at that return time, by the way. That's telling. For Lightning Lane. It's now. It shouldn't be now. It should be at least an hour. Now that's normal. 60 minutes for Indy. We were wondering if it was going to go down. It went up. We saw that queue blowing up, so it's gone up since then, and the return time is 9 hours from now. Meanwhile, Small World. The last verse is now playing at Small World. We'll talk about that when we get there. Return time is now. Jungle Cruise is closed. That won't last long. Mad Tea Party, 10 minutes. Standard. Pooh, 15. Standard. Runaway Railway, 30. Standard. Return time, 2.5 hours. Smuggler's Run, an hour. Standard. That's got to be a carousel issue. That's got to be they're down a pod. It has to be, because that. I'm sorry, that attraction doesn't warrant a 60-minute wait. And return time in 2.5 hours. Toads 20 standard. Peter Pan 35 standard. Pinocchio's 25. It's probably not that. Never. It's never 25 ever. Let's see. Pirates is 35. Liars. You're such a liar. Roger Rabbit, 45 minutes. We did a little bit of recon, so I have an idea of what that how real that 45 minutes might be, but that's pretty standard. Return time 2.5 hours. Snow White 15 standard. Space Mountain 70 standard. It's right back to what we saw. We're here. In previous weeks, 2 weeks ago, it was 35-40, but that's 70s where it should be. Rise, that's 65. Return time of now-ish, standard. Storybook, that 20 standard. And, Tiana's just closed. Return time of 6 hours from now, by the way. So I would say for the most part, we're like 80% standard today. Just kind of a normal day. Normal summer day. Cheers. There's the Millennium Falcon. There's some guests leaning up against the glass there just before they get into the room with Hondo. So that's not a good look. You don't want to see that. You don't want to see guests leaning up against the glass in that part of the queue. But we're going to walk back here just to put eyes on it. Okay. It's good that we're not seeing anything there, but I can find the back of the queue right there, so it's not far from that spot. I don't get the sense that there's a lot of Lightning Lane being sold here today. We've seen just a couple of attractions that had extended return times. Indiana Jones, obviously, and Tiana's. But everything else was pretty light. We saw a Now for Haunted Mansion earlier. And it was an hour and a half, I think, for Millennium Falcon. So when you see light return times like that, that usually means they're not selling a lot, which means you're not going to have a lot of competition when you do get into standby. So this queue may not be too bad if we get a break with Lightning Lane, but that does not appear to be the case. This is the opposite of a break. This is a negative. When you see guests posted here on this rail alongside this ramp up to that queue there. If you guys can go ahead, it's fine. You see this, that is a bad look for standby. These guys are going to be waiting, and the reason why they're cashing these in is because it's one of the few where you have to. This is one of the few attractions right now that has an extended wait time. So whenever Millennium Falcon is extended like this, when it's 60 minutes like that, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It forces guests to want to use it for this attraction because it's 60 minutes, but it's 60 minutes because a bunch of guests are using it. That's Lightning Lane, actually, in a nutshell. Lightning Lane is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Has anybody used standby recently here at Oga's Cantina? I don't go in there very often. I don't go in there ever, pretty much. All I remember from, when this place first opened, it was next to impossible to get in there without a reservation. And they were, it was like Blue Bayou. You couldn't get one. You'd have to be on the spot to get that reservation. But I'm looking at the app right now, and it says I can join the walk-up list, and it's a 30-minute wait. Is that? I mean, I always feel like that's the standby, but it's not. Those are guests. Those are guests checking in for their reservations. Where do the standby guests? They just hang around, I guess. I got to try that one of these days. I want to see how effective that 30 minutes is, or how real that is. That's what I like to see is stormtroopers up on the catwalks up there. We need more of that. I don't know why we can't get other characters though. Can we get somebody besides a stormtrooper? Please, I love stormtroopers. Can we get somebody besides a stormtrooper and Kylo and Rey and Chewbacca? Checking the app again on that. I do see Luke Skywalker is still in the house, although I have not seen him in a little while, and they're showing him, well, it's 2:11 and he's showing up again at 4:30. I bet you they have reduced the number of appearances in Galaxy's Edge so they could just have the one actor per day, I would imagine. But that's, I mean, it was great having him. I just feel like they kind of are not into it. I feel like they're just not into it. And I wonder if people are not into it. Like, is he drawing a crowd? If you saw Luke in here, would you get a picture with him? What would it take? What would happen if they brought Darth Vader in here? By the way, where's Boba Fett? I forgot. He's on the other side. Well, he appears in the marketplace in that area. Let's see. I'm seeing Showtime appearances there at 4 and 5:15, so he's a little bit more frequent, but still not very often. That's at least 2 hours, I'm guessing, between appearances. If it's 2:12 now or 2:13 now, and he's showing up again not until 4, I would guess his last appearance was maybe 2, right? Boba Fett is still here, Ahsoka is still here, and so too is the Mandalorian. They are still making appearances, and they're still making appearances. It looks like to be about on the hour.
Hey Jake, bathroom.
Fantasyland, a much different story this week than our last. We had a OMG moment here, and okay. We had an OMG moment here where it was just completely empty. I was shocked to see hardly any guests walking around in the streets. The streets are quite empty. That is not the case today. It's still not what I would call like a bonkers busy day, but it's certainly busier than we saw on Friday. But if I recall, Friday was $196. Today is $180, and I asked this question in the State of DCA report we did earlier this week, or last week. Is that $16 enough? Because it sure seems to be. It sure seems like that's enough for some people, enough maybe to make a difference. I'm gonna get ran over here in a second. It makes enough difference to get people. Look at it. This was all empty 2 weeks ago, and there were 0 strollers on our left. My goodness, it's just Dumbo. Now we got lots of people in the streets and a considerable amount of strollers. It's still not bad. I have absolutely been here on days. What in the world is happening in Fantasyland right now? I've seen many days where this is just wall-to-wall strollers. They were full. You couldn't fit another stroller in here. I've definitely been present for that. But this is definitely busier than it was 2 weeks ago. As I can tell, the only difference here is a Monday at 180 versus a Friday at 196. I mean, I suppose you could make the argument that it's the 70th and the arrival of the Walt show and the update to Small World, but I really, honestly, I don't think either one of those two things are really moving the needle here in the park in terms of bringing in a bunch of kids, except for that first day when all the locals are showing up. But the difference here is not a locals difference. The difference here is families. Looks like it's families showing up as opposed to not showing up, and that's $16, I think. Peter Pan was at 25. It's probably still gonna be posted 25, but that's not, even at that length right there, that's still just maybe 15, 20 minutes. That queue moves really, really brisk, obviously. Same thing for Snow White. I don't know what the posted is, but that queue looks definitely doable. That's fine, that's good. As long as you don't see it out here, but even out here it's not that bad. They're posted at 20. And yeah, that's probably exactly that. Probably exactly 20. flip things around a bit, take a look at Peter Pan, down there into Merlin's gift shop over there. They're using both of the chains. This is pretty full. This is a solid 35-minute queue right here. Pretty full except for those 3 chains right there. That whole section right there is about 5 minutes though. They've got it at 20. It's not actually. That's actually low. When's the last time you saw a post of 20 at Peter Pan? I can't think ever. And here is the exact same queue you see almost every single time when you go to Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. 20 minutes probably, yeah, 20 minutes. They're calling Dumbo 30 minutes now, which looks to be about right. It's past the Oregon down that direction. And there is the back of that Dumbo queue, just about where I thought I'd find it for a 30-minute queue. I'd still get in that. That's still a go for me. This is always a go. If they've got 2 trains, this is nothing. This is light as heck. We walked right on though 2 weeks ago. Meanwhile at Teacups, one of my favorite moments that you'll ever have when you're at Disneyland is that moment when they open up the gate and you get to go find your teacup. People exiting, people joining. The wondering, am I going to get in this one? What kind of teacup am I going to get? What's ahead? I just love this moment right here. This is probably the most magical thing you can do, the most Disneyland thing you can do, I think, at Disneyland. This and a train, perhaps. But there's something about this. So I'm watching the queue. They're going to get rid of this section, the second section, and the third section at least. I see 2 teacups still. There's still 2, maybe 3 or 4 or 5. There's 5. You got room. You got lots of room. There we go. Keep going.
To ensure your safety,
more.
Seated with your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside while your
One more group.
spinning.
2 more groups. One more group. There's one. Oh, there's another one right here. I didn't even see this blue one there. Still got 2 more back. 3 more back. Oh my gosh. We can keep going. Go, go, go. There's 3 teacups back there. Oh, unless they're a whole group and maybe she's trying to find, yeah, she wants to keep them all together. Keep going, which means we should get the angels. I don't know why I'm paying attention to this. I don't know why I'm so fixated on this right now, but I love this moment. I think the angels are going to get in there. Oh no, he's with them. Yeah, she wants to get, the door's not shut. She's, okay, a little more. There we go. There's 2 more cups back there, 1 and 2. All right, we did it. How delightful. I just love the ceremony of the teacups. It is like a ceremony. Just like Finding Nemo, the subs. There's something ceremonial about getting into the subs that I just love. Even though the attraction is not my favorite, teacups aren't my favorite either. I don't like spinning. I don't like spinning, but I love the magic. All right, Alice in Wonderland, looking pretty standard right here. You got 2 switchbacks out here in the common area, 25 minutes posted. That will be, it's about 20 from this sign going in, and then you can add maybe 5 or 10 minutes out here, depending on how far this goes. That's actually pretty stout. For Alice in Wonderland, that's a good sized queue right there. That may be 25 or more. In fact, hey guys, how are you? I think I want to find out. I'm going to get in the back of this queue here for Alice and see how long this takes. I'd say we're 1 extra switchback from a base point. Like I feel like these 2 outer switchbacks are normal, and then the one we're in now is a little bit out of the ordinary. And I believe I measured it at 25 minutes, maybe less, maybe 20 at where they actually have the sign going in this direction. So these 2 switchbacks and everything inside there. So we're at 29 seconds getting started. That's 2.5 minutes to this point to the post. I figure 5 more into this section and then maybe another 7 or 8 minutes in there. So that's 12. That's going to be under 20 minutes. That's going to be 18 minutes probably. Moving right along as briskly as expected to the primary queue here at 9 minutes and, well, it's actually pretty much 9 minutes. We've been in the queue for a second. We just got these switchbacks to go. Now 15 minutes to this point. We've got a little bit of a stretch there, maybe another 3 or 4 minutes to the vehicle. To our vehicle now, 19:20. That's 4 minutes and 20 seconds since our last stop. 19 minutes and 20 seconds.
That is in Wonderland. Yeah. Oh, Mr. Rabbit. Wait! Please!
He went this way. Oh, no, that way.
Where I am, Peter.
Wait! Don't go, please!
You'll soon be dead. Oh, let me go ahead. Making the roses red.
With their head! Off with their head! Stop! Goodness!
I am empty too.
All right, that really hit the spot. I enjoyed that a lot. We were so close to being like perfect timing, maybe 5 seconds. We were in the next vehicle. We would have caught a great shot of the cavalcade going by and the monorail at the same time. So close. So if that was 19 minutes to the vehicle, that means, 16 and a half minutes from the sign that says 20 or 25, I forget what it said, but 16 and a half minutes from that sign to get to the vehicle. That's pretty good. Remember that, because that's the benchmark. That's where you want to kind of, set everything out. The queue is usually at that sign. So if it's less than that, it's going to be, or if the queue's shorter than that, then it's going to be like 13, 14 minutes. If it's longer than that, then just, add 3 minutes. And by the way, that 16 and a half minutes includes those 2 switchbacks outside of the queue proper. Don't forget that as well. So if you see the queue inside the queue proper, into the queue proper, and not in those 2 switchbacks, you're looking at a queue more like, maybe 11 minutes? And yeah, we're going to Toontown next. Yeah! Looks light over here. Wow. Where is everybody? Hardly any guests out here in the space in front of Roger Rabbit. That's a good start. Oh my gosh. That says 30 minutes, you guys. Is this gonna be an opportunity? 30 minutes. Posted.
Hi, pals. Welcome. Come on in.
Thank you. A little bit of lightning lane. Back of the queue is not at the bouncer. Back of the queue is not at the prop room. This is 35 minutes right here. You're looking at 35 minutes at that point. So we're inside of that. Have we reached Baby Herman? Wow. Yeah, back of the queue is at Baby Herman. I was not expecting that. That is a huge shocker. If we hadn't just been on Alice in Wonderland, I might have gotten into this queue to enjoy that. But yeah, man, that's pretty great. That's the first go situation I've seen at this time of day during a State of Disneyland report. I don't know, I can't remember the last time. I don't think I've ever had that situation develop. Normally it's like 60 minutes. Are we going to get a similar situation at Runaway Railway? It sure looks like it. Just the lack of guests here out in the front, waiting or doing whatever out here is pretty surprising, although that does say a posted 45 minutes. So maybe we're just getting, oh my gosh, yeah, it's right there. 45 minutes is the door though. The door is 45. This is, well, it's going to be close to that though. That's just a few minutes to get to the back there. So yeah, you're looking at possibly a 35, 40 minute queue here. Wow. I'm not sure if I've ever seen that scenario where it's at best a tie between Roger Rabbit and Runaway Railway. Usually Roger Rabbit always has a longer queue than Railway, but that's a solid 30 minutes there. And that was 30 minutes at Roger Rabbit. I have done a little bit of recon there and I'm getting an idea of what that queue looks like. And if my estimates are correct, I want to say the prop room is probably 35 minutes. So if you starting at the prop room, that means the back of the queue, Baby Herman, is probably 25, 30 minutes then. And that never happens. What's going on here at Two Town today? Still lots of people in the streets though.
Are we need to go potty?
Yeah, I would say this is probably like an orange on the busy meter. If red is hot, you know, and green is go, this is probably orange today. Ooh, I should start that, huh? It's an orange day here at Disneyland today. Maybe yellow. Maybe closer to yellow. I feel like orange is busier, right? And this isn't busy. It's just kind of normal. Normal busy. The gadget queue is supportive of that. Usually, we're looking at the queue being somewhere around Chip there. It's past Chip, so that's a busier than average day, I would say, but it's still probably just 20 minutes. We've timed this as well. I've done some recon on this. I want to say Chip is about 15 minutes right there. That spot right there, that's 15 minutes. Hey, we finally get to do an update from Small World. How exciting. It's been a little while since we've been able to include Small World in our State of Disneyland reports, and I'm happy to report that it looks, oh wow, that actually looks a little busier than I was expecting. We were here on Thursday. We waited an hour to ride Small World on Thursday, right in the middle of the afternoon. It was about 1 o'clock. It is now 3 o'clock as I record this. And it was posted 75. It took an hour. Came back the very next day at roughly the same time of day on a Friday. Again, Friday's dead, you guys. Friday's dead. It's completely empty. There was nothing happening here. It was a 5-minute wait. The next day after it was 60, 70 minutes. And now we were here on a Monday. Hi guys. And the queue is posted at 30, monorail. Small World is posted at 30 minutes, and that's a pretty good sized queue for Small World, I would say. And that's about right. If that's 30 minutes, double that, and it's out here. So that was 60 minutes, so that's pretty accurate, that 30-minute posted. You know what? I mean, gosh, you know, I feel like we're talking about kind of the same thing we did in that DCA video, man. It just seems like that 16 bucks is enough to change at least enough people's minds so you can feel it. You can kind of sense it here in the parks. Is it that? I mean, is that all there is? Because there's nothing else about this day apart from that's any different than last Friday. In fact, you would think even the Friday would have been busier because that's a day closer to the 70th and in the reveal of the Walt Disney show, Magical Life. It was closer to that opening, right? This should have been more fresh, but today is the day. Today's day is considerably busier than it was on Friday. Fascinating. And the same goes for the Friday before that as well, when we filmed our last State of Disneyland report. It's very easy to observe. Consecutive Fridays that were at $196 are dead as disco, and it's considerably busier on a Monday at $180. That there has to be something there. For example, one might have been able to make the argument that the people that weren't coming to the park on the 2 Fridays ago because they were waiting for the 70th, but the 70th arrived the next Friday, the second day of the actual, you know, the 18th, and it was just as dead as the Friday before that. You wouldn't have known it because it was so busy if you had just looked at Main Street in Town Square. Like if you just saw people, because sometimes the clips lie, sometimes social lies, and they'll show you these scenes, but it's nothing like that in the rest of the park. It was dead. It was dead on Friday, I promise you. We were there, you know, I walked the entire park. Meanwhile, one more week of the Matterhorn being closed. Today is what is today? I don't even know the date. Today is the 21st. These walls will be down on Thursday, this Thursday, the 24th. I'll be here the next Friday, and we'll be including this as part of our construction update for the week. But everything looks good. I was actually, we were in the queue for Alice. I saw some vehicles go by, some ride vehicles. Wasn't able to get the camera on it, but they are testing right now. So we're looking good for a Thursday the 24th reopening for the Matterhorn. I'm ashamed to admit I actually had a dream. I had a dream about the Matterhorn reopening and that it was smooth. It was like riding Cosmic Rewind where you didn't feel anything at all and there was a loop in it. They had smoothed out the tracks and put a loop in it. And I was like, oh my God, this is the smoothest I've ever felt Matterhorn. This is amazing. What an incredible update. It's not gonna happen. It's still gonna be rough as hell. Absolute cinema. Oh my gosh, it's happening. You guys. Wow. Cinema. Some big news is going to be happening here in Tomorrowland by this coming, what is it, Thursday also? I believe it's Thursday, the 24th. First, Nemo looks pretty agreeable right there. That's probably a 20 to 30 minute queue right there. Not bad at all for Nemo, looking pretty svelte, if I must say. But do expect some happenings here. Fantastic Four are going to be appearing here as a meet and greet, all four of them, and the robot, whose name I forgot, Herbie, I think it is. And it looks like, according to the concept art, well, not the concept art, but the actual video, the promo reel that they did, that they put up on social, it looked like they were going to come out of the stage right here. They were showing them lifting up out of the stage. Now, I don't know if that was just for the reel, or if that's, you know, what the intent will be in the future, but we will be finding Fantastic Four here in Tomorrowland starting on Thursday. And then I also saw Theme Park IQ posted something where there was a permit filed for the Tomorrowland Theater, you know, the Captain EO Theater. And it's been sort of learned that that permit was to build like a meet and greet space for Herbie. I don't know if it's just for Herbie. I don't know if the Fantastic Four are going to be meeting here and Herbie over there at Space Mountain, and that space to the right of the entrance where the Tomorrowland Theater is. But there's going to be some kind of meet. Where it is, we'll find out. Again, I'll be here on Friday for the construction report. I'll hope to get some video of that while I'm here, but stay tuned for that. I'm excited for Fantastic Four. I hope you are too. Their early reviews are pretty good, and I mean, I have a feeling there's a possibility if this thing pops, like, well, I don't know what would require, what would constitute a pop. If it makes $1 billion, let's say, which is, you know, that's just Stitch. That's Stitch. Stitch made $1 billion. The one before that, I can't remember. The other one made $1 billion. It was the sequel, which I can't remember now. But they, you know, if it gets to that level, there could be a conversation where that could become the theme of Tomorrowland. If let's say they greenlight a sequel, to Fantastic Four, and it becomes something that's really, really popular, you might have an argument for making that a theme for a space for Tomorrowland that is, you know, they're desperate for some sort of synergy, you know, with a film or with an IP. There's nothing that really, you know, fits for all of Tomorrowland. It could just be maybe for part of Tomorrowland, but I could see them doing that. I could see them doing something like that here. Maybe not Space Mountain. Space Mountain stays separate, but maybe everything else. I don't know. Is there a Fantastic Four submarine? Oh, I love that. Meanwhile, here at Autopia, I didn't even look at the posted wait time, but I'm seeing 3 or 4 switchbacks up there on the risers, and they're using the rotunda. This is a busy day here for Autopia. I'm saying that's probably going to be a posted 30 is my guess. Let's go take a look. And there you go, 35 here at 319 at Autopia. That is a busy day for Autopia.
What if I raise my hand?
Good sized crowd here in Tomorrowland. I don't know though, man. I don't know if I'd want them to do that because I love this music. That means if we get rid of, would they keep the music? No, probably not, right? If they made this some sort of Fantastic Four, maybe they could just keep this space right here. Come on. There's no way. I would really cringe if I would not get to hear this music anymore. It's such a good loop. God, Tomorrowland's great. You know that? I'm walking around here, I'm looking at the crowds, I'm looking at the people moving around, and I'm really loving this vibe here. in spite of the fact that people think it needs work, etc. Which, I mean, I get it. I get that some of the attractions are a little bit dicey, you know, Buzz Lightyear, Star Tours, etc. Astro Orbiter, this thing is dead. Really, that's what it is. When people talk about the makeover of needing a new Tomorrowland, they want to get rid of this or make that work again. One of those two. They need to do something about this and something about that. If they did something about the Interventions building, which is what I call it, some people call it Launch Bay, if they did something with that, I think people would stop calling for a total, you know, renovation of Tomorrowland. I personally don't want that. It makes me very, very scared, the idea of demoing this whole land. First of all, you have to close it while that's happening, which is just not ideal. But you could do it piecemeal. You could do something with that space and then do something with the people mover space. You're not going to get a people mover back, though. It's never going to work. But at least put something there that's, you know, guest facing and also, oh, you know what? Do something with this as well. So those three things. Although this, I think, could survive an upgrade where they don't do anything. If they didn't do anything with the Tomorrowland Theater, but if they could, wow, man, what a shame. What a waste of space this is. Although it's kind of purpose built to be a show, and that's it. There's not really much else you can do here. All you can do here is show a movie. It's a theater. Same thing with Interventions. There's a limit to what you can do in there because of the way it's built. It's built to be a theater and around. It's built to be, you know, and that doesn't function anymore. They stopped working the carousel part of it. So, I mean, you'd have to tear it down and then build something else there, but it's kind of a small footprint. I don't know what else you could do there in today's modern building codes that could fit and have a decent amount of capacity. I wasn't expecting to do some commentary on the future of Tomorrowland, but there it is. You know, every time I come through here, I just think, but yeah, it kind of makes me nervous when I think about what they might have, what people want, what the expectation could be. And I guess that's why I have these conversations, because I want to temper those expectations, because I don't think you can get something that you, or what you think you want. I just don't think. Like Tron. I don't think you could build Tron here. I really don't. It's just too big. And this space is quite small, relatively speaking, especially comparing it to, let's say, the space that was available at Magic Kingdom. Lots and lots of space to build Tron there. We don't have that luxury at all. This is a very intimate arrangement of buildings here in the whole park. And it just does not make physical sense for them to do something like that. If you were to build Tron here, it would cost you so much. It would cost you so much. And yeah, we're back to those queues we saw a month ago. There's the Space Mountain queue, just like we found it the 3 weeks prior to our last visit. Everything is back to normal. That was on a Friday though. You know, this is a Monday. Monday's busier than Friday. It's still a story. That's still a thing. That's a no right there. It's 65 minutes from the door. That's the door. So add another, I don't know, 15 minutes from here, right? And it's posted at 75 right now. So that's pretty much on point. There are no discounts at Space Mountain on anything resembling a busy day, yellow, orange, that kind of thing. No discounts to be found at Space Mountain. It's more popular than Rise of the Resistance, you guys. More consistent than Rise. And then, like I said, you do something at Tomorrowland, you're probably gonna have to do something about the music too. And that's just not okay with me. Star Tour is still closed. We do not have any kind of date as of yet for Star Tours. There goes Buzz Lightyear, 25-minute standby right now. Very little action right now in Lightning Lane, but that's a good-sized queue. That's a healthy queue for Buzz Lightyear, which means that 25 minutes is pure standby, pure-ish at least. So it looks worse than it is, I guess is what I'm saying. As long as Lightning Lane stays the way it is right now, this is gonna move very briskly. That's a cheap 25. Standard queue there for Astro Orbiter. That's about 30 minutes, 25 minutes maybe.
All right, ready?
Yeah, man, I'd get in that queue. That's a go right now for Buzz Lightyear.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's yellow. I think I like that. I think I like that. This is yellow. What would be below? There's green. What's between green and yellow? Is it blue, I guess? I think it's blue. If green is go and yellow is average, orange is a little busy, and then red is very busy. I think blue is in the middle. That's Main Street. Oh, they still got the, wow. It is 3:30 and they still got the omnibus running, which is great. I love to see that. Remember when they were running these things at night? They were running these vehicles at night. They don't do that anymore. That was really nice when we had that luxury, but this is pretty late for the Main Street vehicles to be out. Ah, yes. One of the top 10 sounds you'll ever find at the Disneyland Resort. Absolutely a fan of that. Your attention, please, is another good one. The sound of the Matterhorn. That bird and that bird saying yo-ho and pirates. Great individual sound bites at Disneyland. Last stop is Big Thunder. Looks busy over there. That's a healthy queue right there. 3 switchbacks on the backside. So that should be at least a moderately busy queue here at Big Thunder, and I'm seeing 40 minutes posted, which suggests I'm not using all of that extended space back there. It's about 30 minutes, into the house here, 25, 30 minutes once you get to the threshold at Big Thunder. This is pretty packed right here. This is a good size amount of people coming through this path. I've got to do some stopping and starting. When you have a hard time, making your way around guests, then it's a little busy. Busy, but absolutely manageable. That 180 price point is like a sweet spot, I bet, for Disney. I bet they would love to have this repeated. This is almost ideal for everyone. Disney gets the most money they can make, and it's a very doable park today. You don't really need Lightning Lane, although it'll help a little bit on certain attractions. It would help, but you don't really need it here. You can get by without it if you don't want to. And crowds are pretty manageable. It's just occurred to me. I don't think. I haven't been on the Mark Twain since the Liberty Bell closed at Magic Kingdom, and I'm pretty sure it was a week or two before that even. It might be a month or more since I've been on the Mark Twain, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. I feel it's incorrect. I need to remedy that next week perhaps, or maybe even Friday when I'm here for construction, but I've got to head out for the day. We have concluded our State of Disneyland report. I sure hope you guys enjoyed. I mean, it's, like I said, it's a yellow day. It's a little bit busy, just a little bit, but it certainly does seem like that $16 is enough to trigger some folks to come on this day, as opposed to skipping out on the 196 days, or even the day that's in 200 something. There's a $200 day. I need to find one of those days and be here in the park for one of those. Thanks for watching, everybody. We do love you very much, and thanks for watching. And don't forget, by the way, to sign up for our free app. It's a Fresh Baked app. Go to freshbakedpresents.com. You can download the app from the website. It's a web-based app right now, so we're not on the Apple Store or anything like that. You just go to freshbakedpresents.com, and there'll be a link to download and follow along on our construction updates, etc., from around the park. And then stay tuned for further developments on that site, park science, etc. We're really looking forward to seeing how far we can take this, and I'm looking forward to being able to share all that with you. So otherwise, thanks for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. Fresh Baked.